The class was told to forge a blade. The Deathworld human girl crafted a weapon sci-fi. It was huge, bigger than any city on Earth. Its walls shone with strange lights and machines hummed everywhere. Leela's boots made soft, clanging sounds as she walked, but she did not feel afraid. She had grown up on Kelara, a death world where the air burned your lungs, the sun could melt metal, and monsters roamed every canyon. Fear was something she had learned to ignore. She looked around and saw many other students from across the galaxy. Some had 6 arms, some had glowing eyes, and one even had scales all over its body. They stared at her as she passed. Humans were rare here, and most aliens thought humans were weak. Many whispered behind her back, calling her fragile, small, and not worthy to be in the same academy as them. Leela did not mind. She had learned long ago that people who underestimate you are often the easiest to defeat. Her instructor, Vorik, stood at the center of the main hall. He was tall and muscular, with thick green skin and sharp eyes that seemed to pierce through everyone. When he spoke, his voice echoed around the massive room. "Welcome to the Forge Academy," he said. "Here you will learn to craft weapons that are extensions of your mind, body, and spirit. Each weapon must reflect the strengths of its maker." He paused, letting the words sink in. "You will forge a blade, not just any blade. It must be strong, precise, and capable of defending and attacking at the same time. Your blade will test your intelligence, your skill, and your courage." Students from many species cheered. Some flexed their claws or wings, showing confidence. Leela stayed quiet. She knew that talking or showing off would not help her. What mattered was what she could do, not what she said. Vorik gestured toward a row of workstations. Each one was filled with metal alloys, strange tools, and containers of glowing liquids. "Choose your station," he said. "Your work begins now. Remember, the blade you forge will define your place in this academy. Fail, and you will be remembered as weak. Succeed, and you will earn respect from all who watch you." Leela moved to an empty station. The metal table was cold under her hands. She studied the raw materials carefully. There were shiny metals that glimmered like liquid, strange stones that seemed alive, and energy cores that hummed with power. Other students rushed to grab the most impressive pieces, boasting loudly about the weapons they would craft. One of them, a large, reptilian student named Torin, slammed a metal rod onto his workstation. "This will be the strongest blade in the academy," he said with a confident grin. "Nothing here can touch it." He flexed his muscles and sneered at Leela. "I hope humans are allowed to try. It would be amusing to see one fail." Leela did not respond. She only looked at the materials in front of her. Her fingers brushed the metal, feeling its weight and texture. She could sense its potential. On Kelara, she had forged tools from rocks, sharpened bones, and whatever she could find in the wild. She knew that a weapon was more than metal. It was a part of the person who made it. She smiled faintly to herself. If these aliens thought humans were weak, she would show them what a human from Kelara could do. Hours passed. The other students struggled to combine metals and energy cores. Sparks flew from failed experiments, and some blades bent or cracked under heat. Torin roared in frustration when his first attempt shattered. Nyla, a floating student with translucent skin, muttered strange words as she tried to guide energy through her blade, but her creation flickered weakly and went dull. Leela worked quietly. She started with small pieces, testing how each metal reacted to heat. She tapped the metals together, struck them with controlled force, and even poured a little of the glowing liquid to see how it reacted. The other students watched her strangely, whispering to each other. Some thought she was wasting time. Others were curious about her method. By mid-afternoon, Leela had shaped the first part of her blade. It was not large or flashy, but it was balanced. It felt natural in her hands, as if it belonged to her. Vorik walked past, stopping to look at her work. His eyes narrowed. "Interesting," he muttered. Then he moved on. During a break, some students approached her. Torin towered over her, his claws clicking on the floor. "Why do you waste your time with small pieces?" he demanded. "You'll never make a real weapon that way." Leela looked up at him calmly. "Sometimes the small things matter more than the big ones," she said simply. She turned back to her workstation, ignoring his frustration. The day passed slowly, filled with heat, sparks, and the constant hum of energy cores. Leela felt her arms grow tired, but her mind stayed sharp. She remembered the lessons from Kelara. Patience, observation, and adaptation were just as important as strength. She noticed tiny reactions in the metal, subtle changes in color and texture. Most students ignored these details, focusing only on power or size. But Leela knew that mastery came from understanding, not from showing off. By evening, the hall was quiet except for the occasional clang of a hammer. Leela had completed the initial shape of her blade. It gleamed softly, almost as if it had a heartbeat. She held it in her hands and tested its weight. It felt perfect. She had made something that could strike, defend, and adapt in ways that most aliens did not even understand yet. Vorik called the students together before the end of the day. "Tomorrow, we will begin testing your blades," he announced. "You will see whose creation can hold under pressure. Remember, the blade is only as strong as the one who wields it." The aliens around her exchanged glances. Many of them had never heard of humans surviving on Deathworlds like Kelara. Few believed Leela could even stand in the arena with them. They did not know that she had faced predators bigger than their entire species and storms stronger than anything in space. Leela left the forge that night, her blade carefully wrapped. She walked along the observation deck, looking down at the stars and distant planets. She thought about the challenge ahead. Tomorrow, she would test her creation. Tomorrow, the others would see that humans were not weak. They would see that survival on a death world taught lessons no other species could understand. She did not fear the test. In fact, she looked forward to it. She had trained her body and her mind for years, and her instincts were sharp. If the aliens wanted to judge humans, she would give them a reason to respect her species. Leela sat quietly, holding her blade against her palm. She whispered to herself softly, "Let them see." And with that, she closed her eyes, ready to rest for the challenges that awaited. Even in the vastness of space, among creatures from 1,000 worlds, one small human girl from Kelara felt stronger than anyone else in the Forge Academy. The next morning, Leela arrived at the Forge Academy early. The hall was quieter than usual, the soft hum of machines filling the space. Most students were still stretching or complaining about the difficulty of the task ahead. Leela ignored them. She had learned that mornings were the best time for focus, and she wanted to understand the materials better before anyone else started. She walked to her workstation and studied the metals again. Each piece was different. Some were light and strong, others heavy and brittle. The glowing liquids shifted colors in their containers, like they were alive. Leela reached out and touched one, feeling a faint warmth in her fingers. She could sense its energy moving slightly, almost as if it were responding to her presence. Most humans might have been frightened, but Leela had grown up facing creatures that could kill with a glance. She smiled. This was nothing compared to Kelara. Her classmates were already busy. Torin was hitting his metal with such force that sparks flew everywhere. Nyla floated above her workstation, murmuring words that made the air shimmer around her hands. Other students were measuring, mixing, and bending metals, following the exact instructions from Vorik. Leela, however, did not follow instructions. She remembered what Kelara had taught her. To survive, you must learn how things work by watching, testing, and adapting. She took a small hammer and gently tapped one of the glowing metals. It bent and flexed under her touch in a way that made her think. She poured a tiny drop of the energy liquid on it. Instead of melting or cracking, the metal shifted color and became slightly harder. Leela's eyes sparkled. She had seen metals change like this before. in the veins of Kelara rocks that she had sharpened into knives. The metal was alive and she could work with it, not against it. Torin noticed her actions and laughed. "What are you doing, human? You're wasting time. Your blade will never hold up in the test if you keep poking at it like that." Leela did not answer. She only studied the metal, feeling how it reacted to temperature and pressure. She tapped it again, listening to the sound it made. Each note was different, like a secret language of the material. Slowly, she began to shape it, gently stretching and folding it. She could feel her blade becoming stronger with each careful movement. By mid-morning, some students started to notice her work. Nyla floated closer, her glowing eyes wide. "Why are you doing it that way?" she asked, voice soft and curious. "The instructor said we should fuse the metals with the energy cores in a precise order. You are doing something different." Leela looked up at her. "This way, the metal listens to me," she said simply. "I'm not forcing it. I'm helping it become stronger." Nyla tilted her head. She had never seen anyone handle materials like that. Most students were only following instructions. Leela was creating something unique, something that the Academy had never expected from a human. Even Torin paused for a moment, frowning. His claws hovered over his workstation, unsure whether to interfere. He had always believed humans were weak and slow, but Leela's calm focus was unsettling. She worked quietly, but her hands moved with precision and speed that made it seem effortless. The day continued with heat, sparks, and constant attention from the instructors. Vorik walked through the hall observing the students. When he reached Leela, he leaned over slightly. "You are taking risks, human," he said. "The other students are following the safe path. Why do you choose to experiment?" Leela looked at him and smiled faintly. "Because I want to know what the metal can do," she replied. "I want it to become part of me, not just follow orders." Vorik's eyes narrowed, but he did not say more. He walked away, leaving her to her work. As the hours passed, Leela's blade began to take shape. It was thin, light, and flexible, yet she could feel its strength growing. She tested its weight by lifting it, swinging it in small arcs. The blade adjusted itself under her hands, responding to her movements. It was as if the metal understood her intentions. Other students continued to struggle. Torin's blade bent under pressure again, and Nyla's flickering energy blade lost its glow. Leela noticed a few students glancing at her blade with surprise, their eyes widening. They whispered to each other, unsure what to make of it. Leela did not care about their whispers. She focused on her work, folding the metal, pouring tiny amounts of energy into it, and listening to the subtle sounds it made. She could feel her blade gaining a rhythm, almost like it was alive. Around mid-afternoon, Vorik called a pause. "Time to test your initial creations," he announced. "You will strike these targets to see how your blades handle stress. Only those who understand their materials will succeed." The students lined up. Torin swung his blade at a reinforced target. The metal bent and splintered under the force. Nyla's blade hit the target but fizzled, losing most of its energy. Whispers filled the hall. Many students were already doubting themselves. When it was Leela's turn, she approached calmly. She lifted her blade and tapped the target lightly. It made a soft chime. Then she swung it again, faster this time. The blade cut cleanly through the target, leaving a perfect mark. She adjusted the angle and swung once more. The blade seemed to glide, slicing through with ease. Vorik's eyes widened slightly. He had not expected such control from a human. "Interesting," he muttered. The other students stared, their faces a mixture of shock and disbelief. After the test, some students crowded around her. "How did you do that?" Nyla asked, voice almost a whisper. "I listened to the metal," Leela replied. "I didn't force it, I worked with it." Torin scowled. "This is impossible. Humans can't make weapons like this. You cheated somehow." Leela shook her head. "I didn't cheat. I just know how to survive." She did not explain her life on Kelara. Most aliens would not understand. fighting for your life every day, using your mind and body to survive impossible dangers, taught skills no one else had. By evening, Leela had finished the main shape of her blade. It was not large, but it felt perfect, balanced, strong, and alive. She held it in her hands, testing its weight and movement. It fit her grip naturally, as if it had been waiting for her to craft it. She stepped back and looked at the other students. Torin's broken blade lay on the floor, Nyla's flickering energy blade dimmed. Leela felt a quiet satisfaction. She did not feel pride, only the calm knowledge that she had done what others could not. Vorik walked by once more, this time studying her blade closely. "You are learning faster than I expected," he said quietly. "Keep going. The true test is yet to come. Your blade must survive combat, not just observation." Leela nodded. She did not need encouragement. She already knew what she would do next. She would continue testing the metals, refining her blade, and preparing herself. She was not just a human girl from a Deathworld. She was a force to be reckoned with. That night, while the other students rested or complained about the difficulty of the day, Leela stayed at her workstation. She adjusted small angles, tapped the metal lightly, and poured tiny amounts of energy into it. Each movement was precise, deliberate, and thoughtful. She felt her blade responding, growing stronger under her hands. Even in the vast hall, surrounded by students from 1,000 worlds, Leela felt at home. She had faced monsters, storms, and death on Kelara, and none of them had been more dangerous than the challenges here. Yet this was a challenge she could meet. Her classmates whispered about her again, but now their words were mixed with awe and fear. They did not understand what she had done, and they were not sure if they could. Leela did not care. She only cared about her blade, her skill, and her readiness. As she wrapped the blade carefully at the end of the day, she whispered softly, "Tomorrow they will see more." She smiled faintly, thinking about the test that would come next. She knew that her unique methods, her patience, and her survival instincts would give her an advantage no other student had. Leela left the forge that night, looking up at the stars outside the academy windows. She thought about the universe beyond, about the worlds she had yet to explore, and the battles she had yet to fight. But for now, her focus was clear. Perfect her blade, learn the metal, and prepare to show the academy what a human from Kelara could do. Even if the aliens doubted humans, even if they thought she was weak, Leela knew one truth. Survival had made her strong, and her blade would show everyone just how strong a human could be. The next morning, the Forge Academy buzzed with excitement. Today was the first real test. Vorik had announced that each student would bring their blade into the combat simulation arena. The arena was a huge circular chamber with walls that could change form. Holographic targets, moving obstacles, and protective barriers could appear at any moment. It was designed to push both the weapon and the wielder to the limit. Leela arrived early. She carried her carefully wrapped blade and stepped onto the observation platform. From there, she could see the arena below. The floor was metal, but it shifted in places, forming raised areas, pits, and narrow paths. Holographic enemies floated above the ground, waiting to test the weapons. She felt a small thrill of excitement. On Kelara, every day was a fight for survival, and she was used to being alert. This was just another challenge. The other students crowded behind her. Torin was flexing his claws, showing off, while Nyla hovered nervously. Many students whispered to each other, comparing weapons and tactics. Some had large, sharp blades, others had energy swords, and a few even had shields that could expand from their arms. All of them believed that skill and technology would guarantee success. Leela ignored them. She focused on her blade. It was light, balanced, and ready. She could feel the energy she had infused into it, a faint vibration that made her smile. This blade was not just metal and energy. It carried her experience, her instincts, and the lessons of her Deathworld home. Vorik's voice echoed through the arena. "Students, step forward. Today you will test your creations under real conditions. Your blade will be judged not by size, not by power, but by effectiveness. Let the trials begin. One by one, the students entered the arena. Torin went first, swinging his heavy metal blade. The holographic targets moved quickly, and he swung with all his strength. The blade cut through a few targets, but when it hit a reinforced section, it bent. Torin roared in frustration, hitting it again and again, but the metal would not hold. Sparks flew, and the other students murmured. Nyla floated into the arena next, her energy blade glowing brightly. She whispered a sequence of words, trying to guide the energy. The blade hummed, striking multiple targets at once. For a moment it seemed perfect. But then a moving barrier appeared. The blade fizzled, losing most of its energy, and she stumbled back, embarrassed. Leela waited calmly. She did not rush or show fear. She watched the arena carefully, noting the positions of the targets and the moving barriers. When Vorik signaled, she stepped forward. The air felt cooler on her skin, and the faint hum of her blade matched the rhythm of her heartbeat. The first targets appeared. Leela swung her blade. It cut cleanly through the holographic enemies, the edge adjusting perfectly to the resistance it encountered. She moved with balance and speed, stepping over shifting platforms and through narrow passages. Her blade seemed alive in her hands, shifting slightly to adapt to the obstacles. A moving barrier appeared suddenly, blocking her path. Leela tilted her blade, letting it slice along the edge of the barrier. The blade vibrated and flowed like liquid metal, slipping past the obstacle effortlessly. Other students gasped. None of their blades had adapted so smoothly. Most had broken or dulled at the first major challenge. Leela continued through the arena, swinging, striking, and adjusting with ease. Every movement was precise, guided by instincts she had honed on Kelara. On her homeworld, she had dodged predators that were faster and stronger than any alien here. She had fought storms, climbed cliffs, and survived in the wild with nothing but her hands and sharp tools. All that experience now guided her movements. Torin watched from the side, his jaw tight. He had thought his strength would win. He had underestimated her. Nyla floated nearby, wide-eyed, unable to believe what she was seeing. Leela was not just surviving, she was outperforming everyone, adapting in ways the Academy had not anticipated. A new challenge appeared in the arena. A set of holographic targets moved at high speed, spinning and changing height. Other students struggled to strike them, missing repeatedly. Leela's eyes narrowed. She swung her blade with small, precise movements. The edge shifted mid-swing, cutting through the spinning targets as if she had predicted their path. Each strike landed perfectly, and she moved forward with grace and confidence. Vorik's gaze sharpened. He had seen many students in his years, but few had such natural skill. He stepped back, watching quietly, curious to see how far she could go. Most of the aliens in the arena were relying on brute strength, magical energy, or advanced technology. Leela relied on observation, instinct, and adaptability. That was something no other student had mastered. The final part of the arena was a narrow corridor filled with barriers, traps, and moving platforms. Torin and Nyla had both failed before reaching this point. Leela stepped carefully, letting her blade guide her. She tapped the metal lightly against walls, feeling the vibrations, sensing the weak points. She adjusted her stance and moved forward, the blade slicing effortlessly through each obstacle. A holographic enemy appeared, larger and faster than the others. Leela did not hesitate. She swung her blade in a wide arc, and the weapon adapted mid-strike, splitting slightly to strike multiple points at once. The holographic enemy shattered instantly. She moved forward, undeterred by the challenges, her blade flowing with her every movement. By the time she reached the end of the arena, the other students were exhausted. Torin's heavy blade had broken in two. Nyla's energy sword had lost all its power. Leela's blade, however, was untouched, gleaming with a soft, steady light. She held it lightly, ready for anything, and stepped out of the arena. The hall was silent for a moment. Then whispers began, spreading like fire. How did she do that? A human, she defeated the arena. It is impossible. Vorik stepped forward. His green eyes studied her carefully. Human, he said slowly, your control of your weapon is remarkable. You do not rely on strength or speed alone. You understand your blade. You work with it, not against it. This is far beyond what I expected. Leela bowed slightly, keeping her calm. Thank you, instructor, she said. I just used what I know. Other students approached, some with admiration, some with disbelief. Torin's pride was hurt. He glared at her. This cannot be right, he muttered. Humans are weak. How could you? Leela shook her head. You think survival means being the strongest in a fight, she said softly. On Kelara, survival means using your mind, your instincts, and your courage. That is what made this blade work. Nyla floated closer, looking at the weapon with curiosity. I've never seen a weapon move like that, she admitted. It felt alive. Leela smiled faintly. It responds to the one who wields it, she said. It is part of me just like I am part of it. Vorik nodded slowly. Let this be a lesson to everyone here. Skill, understanding, and instinct can surpass raw power. Even a human from a harsh world can master the forge in ways others cannot imagine. Tomorrow, we will continue training, but remember this. Your blade is only as strong as your mind and your heart. Leela left the arena quietly. She did not need praise or attention. She already knew her blade worked, and she had proven her instincts. Walking through the hall, she noticed other students whispering, some staring at her with awe, others with disbelief. That night, Leela returned to her workstation. She unpacked her blade carefully and ran her hands along its edge. Every curve, every angle felt perfect. She tested the balance, swinging it lightly, letting it vibrate under her control. It was stronger than she had imagined. She knew it could survive any challenge Vorik would create next. Even though she was tired, she could not sleep immediately. Her mind replayed the arena in detail. Every movement, every strike, every adjustment of the blade was a memory she wanted to understand completely. She realized that her instincts had guided her, but her focus had also made the weapon stronger. Tomorrow would bring more challenges, and she needed to be ready. Leela thought about Kelara, her home. Her survival there had taught her patience, observation, and courage. She had faced creatures that could tear her apart in seconds, and she had learned to adapt quickly or die. Now, in this academy among creatures from hundreds of worlds, those lessons were proving more valuable than any alien technology or magic. She whispered softly to herself, "This is only the beginning." Her blade gleamed faintly under the forge lights. It had been tested and had proven itself, but more tests awaited. Leela was ready. She knew that her skill, her instincts, and her courage would carry her further than any student had expected. Even in a hall full of aliens who doubted humans, Leela felt a quiet confidence. Her blade, her mind, and her instincts were in harmony. She had proven that survival, adaptability, and understanding could triumph over raw power and technology. And she knew that tomorrow, the Forge Academy would see even more of what a human from a Deathworld could do. The next day, the Forge Academy was louder than ever. Students talked excitedly, some nervously, about what had happened in the arena yesterday. Leela arrived early, carrying her blade carefully. She noticed the whispers as she walked past. Most students looked at her differently now, not with mockery, but with caution. Even Torin's glare was mixed with uncertainty. He had never expected a human to perform so well. Vorik stood in the center of the hall, watching the students assemble. Today, the Advanced Combat Challenge begins, he announced. Only the best will take part. You will face opponents who will test both your skill and your blade. This is not about survival. This is about strategy, precision, and adaptability. A group of the Academy's top students stepped forward. They were known for their skill and strength. At the front was Rixor, a tall, winged predator with claws sharp as swords. His eyes locked on Leela. "So the human girl thinks she can fight with us," he said loudly, his voice full of arrogance. "I will enjoy teaching you your place." Leela's expression remained calm. She had faced creatures far more dangerous than Rixor on Kelara. She knew that strength alone was not enough to win. Patience, observation, and cleverness often mattered more than raw power. The students entered the arena first, led by Rixor. The arena today was different from yesterday. The floor was uneven, with rising platforms, narrow bridges, and moving walls. Holographic enemies appeared unpredictably, forcing the combatants to adapt quickly. Leela watched quietly as Rixor and his team attacked the first targets. They were fast and powerful, swinging large blades with precision. But the arena was tricky. One misstep and they slipped, or a barrier blocked their attack. Rixor roared in frustration when a swinging platform knocked him off balance. He adjusted quickly, but Leela noticed the slight hesitation in his movements. When Vorik signaled, it was Leela's turn. She stepped into the arena with her blade ready. The energy in the room seemed different this time. There was tension, curiosity, and a faint trace of fear from some of the alien students. They had heard of her success yesterday, but now she would face their strongest warriors directly. The first target appeared, a fast-moving holographic creature that shifted between the platforms. Leela swung her blade lightly, feeling its vibration under her fingers. It moved with her, slicing through the creature perfectly. The aliens gasped. None of their blades could adjust so quickly. Next, Rixor attacked. He lunged at Leela with his large claws, aiming to knock her off the moving platform. Leela stepped back calmly, letting her blade meet his strike. The weapon shifted slightly mid-contact, blocking his claws without cracking or bending. She pushed back with controlled force, testing his strength. Rixor stepped back, surprised. He had not expected her blade to absorb so much energy. Another holographic enemy appeared, spinning and moving unpredictably. Leela swung her blade, adjusting constantly. The edge stretched and curved in ways that seemed impossible, striking multiple points at once. Rixor and the others watched, their expressions hardening. They had never seen a human weapon respond so perfectly. Rixor attacked again, faster this time. Leela ducked, then spun, letting her blade slice across his side. It did not hurt him badly. This was a test, not a real fight, but the precision shocked him. He roared in frustration, swinging wildly, trying to overpower her. Leela did not panic. She stepped aside, letting his energy carry him past, and used a quick flick of her blade to redirect his motion. He stumbled, unbalanced, and for the first time he looked unsure. The other elite students tried to flank her, surrounding her from all sides. Most humans would have been trapped, but Leela was not most humans. She studied their positions carefully. With a small movement of her blade, she blocked one attack, then twisted to evade another. The blade split slightly at the tip, striking two targets at once, before returning to a solid edge in her hands. The aliens froze for a moment, astonished. Her blade was doing things none of them could control. Vorik watched silently. Even he had not expected this level of control. Most students relied on brute force or magic, but Leela relied on instinct, observation, and the unique energy she had infused into her weapon. Rixor tried one final attack. He leapt high, claws extended, aiming directly for her head. Leela stayed calm. She had learned long ago that speed alone did not win fights. She waited, watching his movements carefully. As he came down, she stepped slightly to the side and swung her blade in a smooth arc. The weapon curved naturally, guiding his momentum away without harming him. He hit the floor with a grunt, unbalanced and frustrated. The holographic targets continued to appear, but Leela moved through them as if the arena itself were responding to her. Each swing was precise, each block perfect. She adapted to every movement, every shift in the environment. Rixor and the others struggled to keep up, their attacks less coordinated as they realized she was not just fast, she was unpredictable. The audience of students and instructors was silent, watching in awe. Whispers spread through the hall. She's incredible. A human actually holding her own against the elites. How is this possible? Leela ignored the whispers. She focused on the task, moving calmly through the arena. Her blade, infused with her instincts and her careful energy adjustments, seemed alive in her hands. It bent slightly, shifted, and flowed with her movements. She had created something beyond a simple weapon, a partner that responded to her will. By the end of the challenge, Leela had completed every task, avoided every trap, and neutralized all the holographic enemies. Rixor and the elite students were exhausted, their energy spent. Leela's blade was untouched, still glowing faintly with controlled energy. Vorik stepped forward, his expression unreadable. "Human," he said slowly, "you have demonstrated skill, adaptability, and control beyond what I have expected. Not only have you survived the challenge, you have outperformed our strongest students." Rixor glared at her, pride wounded. "This cannot be," he muttered. "Humans are weak. How could she?" Leela shook her head calmly. "You underestimate humans," she said simply. "Strength is not enough. Survival, adaptation, and understanding are stronger than brute force." Nyla floated closer, still watching in awe. "Your blade, it moved with you," she said softly. "I've never seen anything like it." Leela smiled faintly. "It is part of me, and I am part of it," she said. "That is why it works." The other students began to look at her differently. Whispers of admiration mixed with disbelief spread through the hall. Even some of the instructors were murmuring among themselves. They had underestimated humans, and now it was clear that survival on a death world had produced skills none of them could match. Vorik nodded slowly. "Let this day be remembered. A human from Kelara has shown that instinct, focus, and understanding can surpass strength and size. Remember this lesson well. The forge is not just about materials. It is about the mind and the spirit of the one who wields it." Leela left the arena quietly. She did not need praise or attention. She already knew what she had accomplished. Her blade was perfect, her instincts sharp, and her mind focused. She had proven that humans were not weak, and that even a single human could stand against the strongest students in the Forge Academy. That night, she returned to her workstation. She unpacked her blade and ran her hands along its edge, feeling the subtle vibrations of energy. Every part of it was exactly as she wanted. She tested its balance and motion, swinging lightly. The blade was ready for anything. She thought about Kelara. Every lesson from her harsh homeworld had guided her today. She had dodged predators, adapted to storms, and survived impossible conditions. All of it had prepared her for this arena. She smiled faintly, thinking about the next challenge. Tomorrow would bring new tests, but she was ready. Even in a hall filled with aliens who doubted humans, Leela felt calm and confident. Her blade, her instincts, and her courage had proven themselves. She had faced elite students and come out stronger, and she knew that her journey was only beginning. She whispered softly to herself, "Tomorrow they will see even more." Her blade gleamed faintly under the forge lights. It had survived the elite challenge and had proven its worth, but Leela knew that there were bigger challenges ahead. She was ready to face them. With her mind, her instincts, and her blade working as one, she knew she could overcome anything. Even among the strongest warriors from across the galaxy, Leela Carter, the human girl from Kelara, had proven that humans could not be underestimated. The sun, or what passed for a sun in the Forge Academy orbit, shone weakly through the tall windows of the main hall. Today was the final test. Leela Carter arrived early, carrying her blade carefully in its case. She had sharpened her instincts over the past days, refined her blade, and trained her mind for whatever Vorik would throw at her. Other students crowded around, their whispers filled with both curiosity and fear. Torin and Rixor avoided looking directly at her, their pride bruised by the events of yesterday. Nyla floated nearby, watching her silently. Even the instructors murmured among themselves, knowing that today would show whether Leela's skill was luck, instinct, or true mastery. Vorik stepped forward. His green eyes scanned the students, lingering on Leela briefly. "This is the ultimate test," he said. "Today, you will face the arena of trials. Every blade you have forged will be tested to its limit. Every skill you have learned will be challenged. Success will earn you the recognition of the Forge Academy and respect from all species. Failure," he paused, letting the weight of the word settle, "will be remembered as a lesson to all who doubt themselves." The students followed him to the arena. It was massive, circular, and filled with unpredictable obstacles. The floor shifted constantly, rising and falling in places. Walls moved in patterns that were never the same twice. Holographic enemies appeared from all directions, some strong, some weak, some fast, some slow. Leela's eyes scanned the arena carefully. She had trained for this. She had faced impossible odds before. Today was no different. The first round began. Torin went first, swinging his heavy blade with all his strength. The holographic enemies scattered, but the floor shifted beneath him, and one swing bent his blade against a metal barrier. Sparks flew, and he stumbled. Nyla's energy blade flickered and dimmed as she tried to strike multiple moving targets at once. Most students struggled immediately. When Vorik signaled, Leela stepped into the arena. She held her blade lightly, feeling its subtle energy hum in response to her touch. Her eyes scanned the moving obstacles. Every step, every swing, every adjustment of the blade would matter. She focused on the rhythm of the arena and the flow of her own body. The first holographic enemy appeared, fast and spinning. Leela swung her blade. It adjusted midair, splitting slightly to strike multiple points at once before returning to a solid edge in her hands. She moved forward, stepping onto a rising platform as it shifted under her weight. Other students could not keep up with the speed and unpredictability of the arena, but Leela moved like she had danced through storms on Kelara. Rixor charged next, aiming to strike her directly. Leela did not panic. She sidestepped, letting her blade glide along his claws, redirecting his momentum safely to the side. His roar echoed, but he was unbalanced. Leela's calm confidence contrasted sharply with the chaos of the arena and the panic in the other students' movements. More holographic enemies appeared. Some were huge and slow, others were small and fast. Leela adapted to each one. Her blade curved, twisted, and flowed, cutting or deflecting as needed. The metal shifted perfectly with her hands, absorbing impact, slicing precisely, and moving with her instinctive knowledge of balance and force. Vorik watched closely. He had trained thousands of students in his long life, but few had ever used the arena so naturally. Leela was not relying on strength, speed, or technology alone. She was relying on her instincts, her understanding of the materials, and her unique human ability to adapt. The arena shifted suddenly. Walls closed in, traps activated, and holographic enemies swarmed from above and below. Many students screamed and dodged frantically. Torin's blade broke completely, Nyla's flickering energy sword dimmed entirely, and others struggled just to keep their balance. Leela moved calmly. She adjusted her stance, swung her blade, and let it respond naturally. The edge curved, splitting when necessary, flowing around obstacles, striking enemies precisely. She moved with balance and rhythm, as if she had danced this trial before. Every obstacle that should have slowed her only made her focus sharper. Rixor tried one last attack, summoning all his strength and speed to overwhelm her. Leela watched carefully, reading his movements. As he leapt toward her, she shifted slightly, letting her blade guide his momentum safely past. Then she struck in a swift, precise motion, hitting multiple targets at once and redirecting his motion without causing real harm. He hit the floor, surprised and exhausted. The other students watched, unable to believe what they were seeing. Leela was moving through the arena flawlessly. Every trap, every obstacle, every enemy was handled with calm precision. Her blade never faltered. Its energy vibrated perfectly in sync with her movements. When she reached the final section of the arena, a massive holographic enemy appeared, larger than anything before. Its energy pulses sent tremors across the floor. Most students would have panicked, but Leela's eyes narrowed. She studied the enemy carefully, reading its movements and timing. Then she swung her blade. The edge adjusted perfectly. It bent, split, and curved, striking the enemy in multiple places at once. Sparks flew, energy hummed, and the holographic form shuddered. Leela moved in fluid motions, stepping forward with precision, striking again and again. The enemy fell apart, leaving the arena clear. The hall was silent for a long moment. Then the instructors and students erupted in awe. Vorik stepped forward, eyes wide. "Human," he said, voice low but firm, "you have done what no one else could. Your skill, focus, and understanding of your blade have surpassed all expectations. You have proven that humans cannot be underestimated." Rixor, exhausted and humbled, stepped back. Torin hung his head, unable to speak. Nyla floated quietly, her eyes still wide with amazement. Leela did not smile triumphantly. She only nodded slightly, keeping her calm. Vorik addressed all the students. "Let this day be remembered. Strength alone does not determine skill. Knowledge, instinct, and understanding can surpass raw power. A human from Kelara has shown this to us all. Remember her example. Let it guide you in your training and in your lives." Leela returned to her workstation quietly. She unpacked her blade and ran her hands along its edge. Every curve, every angle, every vibration was perfect. She tested it lightly, swinging it in small arcs. The blade responded exactly as she wanted. It was not just a weapon. It was a partner, an extension of herself. That night she looked out at the stars beyond the academy windows. She thought of Kelara, her home. Every lesson from the harsh world, the storms, the predators, the constant fight for survival, had led her here. She had used her instincts, her mind, and her courage to overcome challenges that others thought impossible. Even among the strongest students from across the galaxy, Leela Carter, the human girl from Kelara, had proven that humans could not be underestimated. She had shown that survival, focus, and adaptability could triumph over brute strength and advanced technology. She whispered softly to herself, "This is only the beginning." Her blade gleamed faintly under the forge lights. It had been tested in the ultimate challenge and had proven its worth. Leela knew that her journey was far from over. There would be more challenges, more tests, and more battles ahead. But she was ready. With her mind, her instincts, and her blade, she could face anything. The Forge Academy would never forget her name. And for the first time, many of the students and instructors began to see humans as something more than fragile creatures. They were adaptable, clever, and stronger than anyone had imagined. Leela had done more than craft a blade. She had crafted respect, and she had forged a legacy that would be remembered for years to come.